Hey, it's Chaz and AJ.
Hello.
Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoy it. And please subscribe, comment, share, do all those things that make us look good.
And be nice.
Thank you. Welcome back to the studio, Attorney Steve Errante of Lynch, Traub, Keefe, and Errante in New Haven. Hey. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
God. Well, when you hinted at this story the last time you were here, you couldn't talk about it at the time. Now you can talk about it.
I can. The case has been filed. It involves a doctor who practiced and is still alive, but not practicing anymore in New Haven. Through 23andMe and similar outfits, the people have found 23 half siblings. In fact,
it's weird that 23andMe and 23.
Yeah.
The numbers sync.
Well, the number keeps growing, so I'm not sure it'll stay at 23. But
wow.
7 to me.
A couple of the clients have gone and confronted the doctor, who doesn't deny it.
So he was a doctor running a what?
Well, he was an endocrinologist, so he was helping couples get pregnant who had hormonal issues. Obviously, in this case, it would be the husband who was having a problem.
Yeah.
So people would come to him or be referred to him. And if he couldn't correct the problem through medication or other means, he then would suggest that he had Yale residents that would be willing to be anonymous donors and that they could have a baby that way. Instead of using anonymous donors, he was using his own sperm.
Ah.
And so
it's cutting out the middleman.
Cutting out the middleman, right. Exactly.
And now, does on to you.
Does he get why would he do that?
Well,
is that more money for him?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's a whole nother mental.
Just enjoys his work.
Apparently, and it's the troubling thing is, as a doctor, he would know impregnating that many people, and he claims he doesn't know how many. It was so many he lost count.
Wow.
I've had friends like that.
Yeah. It's like Wilt Chamberlain. It's crazy.
I don't know how many were.
In a small geographical area, he should have been thinking, what problems is that going to cause 20 or 30 years down the road, where these people would not know that they were half siblings and would meet, might get married,
Did that happen?
We have reason to believe that happened at least once.
That siblings married.
They didn't marry, but that they got together.
Oh.
All right. So I moved down south now.
I feel like we have this connection. I don't know what it is.
Your feet look like my feet.
You look just so much like my like me.
That's where you're going right now.
He did carry some genetic issues that have been passed down to some of these people. Uh-oh. And we're investigating another doctor who's not alive any longer. We know that there are 18 half siblings in his case. Different town, but
are you
locally.
kidding me? How many doctors? How many of these cases? So this isn't even the same case. It's two different cases.
Two different
doctors.
Yeah.
They didn't talk. They didn't conspire. They did this.
As far as we know, they may have known each other, but because they practiced in a similar geographic area, but they were different. And a few years ago, it was a third doctor. But as far as I know, that was just one case that he had. So I haven't been involved in 3 cases in the last dozen years involving this issue.
You're the sperm attorney?
I don't think I want to be known as that.
Sperm attorney.
Sperm attorney.
Yeah.
Imagine the advertisements.
Attorney Steve Errante in studio right now.
Sperm cells.
So this all started with, can we use her name, Doreen's full name? Or
just use her first name.
All right, so Doreen. So during the late 80s, Doreen was having problems getting pregnant, right?
Correct.
So 1986, can we use the doctor's name?
Yes, you can use the doctor's name.
Dr. Caldwell suggested that Doreen use a sperm donor and that they had an intern there that was on site, willing to be a sperm donor, and that the intern would provide a fresh, never frozen specimen.
Wow. Like Wendy's.
Yeah.
The intern would be considered an anonymous donor. Doreen agreed to use the sperm. So that sounds like there's not a system in place, right? It's like, hey, I know this guy. We'll just keep... he could go and get us some right now. It sounds a little weird.
It sounds a little weird. It's the 80s. It was not as highly regulated as it is today.
Yeah.
Part of what we are investigating is who was supposed to be regulating this? Who was funding this? Because we know there was federal funding for this. Where was the funding going through? Hospitals, clinics. These doctors were getting money to continue to develop this technology to get people pregnant. And because of such an amount of time that's gone by, it's very difficult to get records and figure out what the connection is. But we're pretty sure there was a connection and that somebody should have been supervising what these doctors were doing, and it should not have been the Wild West. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And that's really the part of the reason that we brought this suit, not only to hold Dr. Caldwell responsible for what he did, but also to find out who was asleep at the switch.
So the doctor performs artificial insemination on Doreen using what she thought was sperm from a medical intern. She became pregnant. She gave birth in 1987. And then somewhere around 2022, Janine, the daughter, received results from a DNA test indicating that her dad was... How did she figure out that... so was the doctor in the 23andMe database?
He must have been at any time.
What a moron. Like, there's a moron.
Well, and any time a half-sibling or a relative pops up, they make the connection for you, and you're able to contact those people if they want to be contacted. And
That's true, too. Yeah, it could have just been some of the other offspring, like all connecting with each other. Like, why would I be related to you?
Right. And
Right. So maybe
thread.
to a brother or an aunt or a sister or something, and then he's somehow connected to that.
He's the only common thread among all 23 people.
Right.
Well, it wasn't a thread, though.
More like a rope.
Well, and the fact that he doesn't deny it is,
Yeah.
makes it easy.
Kind of bragging.
So 35 years later, Janine is unaware that Dr. Caldwell was her biological father, and then she goes and speaks to him,
Correct.
right? She shows up at his house.
Yes.
How did she find out where he lived? Like, she just looked it up.
I think she just looked it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were two different people that went to confront him at different times individually.
So once all of this home testing kit stuff became easy to do,
The jig was up.
This is when it was all coming apart for him.
Yeah.
So she shows up at his door. Is he married with kids? The whole thing?
He's married, has children. Children are obviously adults. He's an older fellow.
Man.
And the wife, if she didn't know then, she knows now. And
Yeah, right.
She knew from the conversation that
Well,
was
it wasn't
had.
like he was cheating, but he is sharing something.
I mean, he's kind of cheating.
Is it cheating?
I mean, his intention was to make a whole village. I mean, he knew what he was doing.
It's weird. It's like, I just wonder if he got paid for, like, what was the motivation? So it wasn't money. It wasn't like he got paid a substantial amount of money for that donation.
No, what they were paying the Yale students, because there were doctors who used Yale residents, was at somewhere between $50 and $100.
So
really?
it wasn't the money.
So it wasn't the money.
They still paying that?
That's wild. So she knocks on his door. He opens the door.
Yeah. Gives his biological history. Tells her that so many times he doesn't know how many.
He just spills the beat. He
spills a lot of stuff. This guy.
Yeah. But now he just tells her everything.
Yeah.
She just shows up at the door. He opens the door. He's like, yeah. There's so many I don't know.
Well, she accuses him and tells him what kind of proof she has, and he willingly gives her information.
Right there at the doorstep.
I think he invited her into the house. I think they even took a picture together.
Yeah, have some coffee.
That is a weird introduction. It's like,
That's wild.
I do want to know you, but like, why would it be this way? It's so odd.
First of all, this is going to be a movie. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a movie.
The Sperminator. It's going to be huge.
I think HBO has a show on Our Father, which is a similar situation out west somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So it's happened before.
This story is pretty remarkable, though.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
Janine, what she did, and then just going right to the door.
Yeah. She went to the source.
Yeah.
The welcome sign said welcome.
Right.
The last time you were here, we were talking about, and this is just so weird. It seems like I'm making this up right now. Something about attorney Penny Seaman.
That was a different case, but similar.
Okay.
Doctor using his own sperm to inseminate someone.
So
who thought
attorney Seaman was involved in a case regarding semen.
Yes.
He's a real jerk.
Really? It's interesting. Isn't that, like,
He can't make this stuff
You
up.
can't.
Seriously.
That gets overused, but in
Right.
this case,
Yeah.
you can't make this up.
It's destined for greatness.
They tried to wipe him out.
Wow, this is unbelievable. So you're handling 3 different cases now.
One was completed several years ago. That involved a doctor who used his own sperm, but the couple thought he was using the husband's sperm. But it became obvious he wasn't when they had twin blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls.
Whoops.
And mom had brown hair and brown eyes, and dad was African-American.
Awkward.
Oh,
So,
The old
Awkward.
switcheroo.
Yep.
yeah.
that case is over. But now we're investigating another case, aside from Janine's case, where similar setup, similar stories of have a Yale residents willing to donate anonymously, and but we have 18 people in that case that are half siblings.
Well, when you're an organization as big as Yale, you're going to get a couple of,
Yeah,
you're going to have to, I mean, it's, it doesn't seem like it's on them. It's not like this guy's so.
I'm sure Yale is going to say that they didn't know what these guys were doing and that they
Right.
had really no connection. That's why we're
Yeah.
looking at funding. And if Yale or any other institution was funding the money, they should have been supervising what was being done
Yeah.
with the money.
Yeah.
Guy's a whack job.
The puns keep coming.
Coming.
Here's what's really interesting is that I think we're going to talk to Janine.
Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
23 different cases at this point.
We were aware of 23 different cases, different people who were fathered by this doctor.
Who said he was getting sperm donations from like interns and residents.
That
But
was
he was using his own sperm.
That's what he was telling the people. That way they'd be anonymous. And although he may not have been specific about it, I think people assumed that therefore there would not be a lot of half siblings running around in the area. What ended up happening because he was using his own sperm is you have a lot of people in the general New Haven area who are half siblings who don't know that they're half siblings. And
Right.
it's starting to come out now with 23andMe and Ancestry.com and so forth.
Wow. Janine is on, and Janine is really the one who broke this case and started the whole thing.
Yes.
Right? Janine, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. What an amazing story.
Of course.
When did I'm guessing at some point as you're growing up, your parents told you there was a sperm donation, or did you suspect it and ask about it, or how did that come about?
No, so growing up, I always knew that my parents had struggles with infertility, so I knew they had used a fertility doctor, but I grew up thinking that my father was my biological father, and it wasn't until last year in August that I got results from 23andMe that I found out that was definitely not the case.
Oh, wow. So they never told you
No.
that
No.
there was different sperm used, and then you take this test. So you've kind of knew, you felt something, right? Like something's a little off here.
Well, I actually took the test, honestly, because I wanted to know how Irish I was. I really didn't suspect that whatsoever. Yeah. So that was my reasoning, was to find out more about my heritage, honestly.
Okay.
And then when I got the results, I saw right away that I had 19 half siblings at that point. Since then, there's been 4 or 5 that we've matched with.
How did the 19 not come forward? How did they? Because they went into the database, they get the results. Maybe the first few are like, that's a low number. But when you get the 15, 16, How do you not say something's up here?
We're also Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody had kind of connected and started talking. We're actually connected with multiple people from his immediate family. So through conversations, the common denominator was, okay, well, my uncle is a fertility doctor. And then through conversations with our moms, we learned that it was the same fertility doctor as who they were saying is their uncle. So that was how that came to be, that the pieces kind of fell together. And that was prior to me learning. So I came in and my half-sibling shared all this information with me. And, I mean, it's very personal, obviously. So a lot of people don't really feel comfortable sharing that, their personal information. But for me, I felt very, very much so that everybody that was a patient of his should be aware, because this could be their story, too.
It's unbelievable. What? How Irish were you, by the way?
Not as much as I thought.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Oops.
This is just, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make light of it, but it's really, I'm like blown away by this. So then you decide to go to the guy's door.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I give you a lot of credit. That takes a lot. You didn't try to call first? You just, I'm going right to the door.
I didn't want to give him the opportunity to say no. So I showed up there and I introduced myself and I said, I think I could be your biological daughter. And he let me in. He sat me at his dining room table.
Wait. So he opens the door.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? He says something. He says, hello, can I help you? And you say, I think I could be your biological daughter. What's the next thing he says?
I said to him that I had a few questions for him and I'd really like to have a conversation. And he opened the door and welcomed me in to sit at his dining room table with him.
Wow.
Want some eggs?
Wow.
Keep him away from eggs. That guy.
Wow. He had to have known the technology was such that this day was coming.
It was going to happen.
And he opens the door and it's like, well, it's here. It's at my door now. Yep.
Yeah, he never denied it. He admitted the full thing. He asked me how many grandchildren he had. He asked me about my scholastic achievements and kind of what I made of myself. He said that he was basically trying to help people start their own families while supporting his.
Wow.
Huh.
Unreal. And what was that like for you? What were you feeling as this guy was asking you questions? Were you angry or felt a connection to him?
Well, I had like a whole mix of emotions, but I just felt very strongly like I had to meet him face to face. I wanted to see how he would receive the information, if he would share everything. And I ended up taking a picture with him because I wanted proof that he actually met with me. And I mean, I was definitely angry, but it was like I just wanted that confirmation from him.
Wow. Then how did you leave it at the end of the conversation?
Well, it was kind of obvious when the conversation was over because I did tell him, I could never understand how he could make the decisions that he made. And I told him that he was irresponsible because there were so many of us in such a small geographic location. I mean, I literally went to summer camp with my brother, and I have a picture of us singing on a stage 15 feet apart, and we have no idea that we're related. So it's like I just, I wanted to tell him those things. I wanted to say, this was not okay what you did. And he kind of, at that point, was like, okay, I'm going to get up and kind of usher you to the door.
Right.
It was clear he was feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
So then I just left it as it was. I said goodbye, shared everything with my half-siblings, and then kind of sat with that for a good 6 months or so before reaching out to an attorney.
Well, you got the right one. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, wow, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that story. And it's really mind blowing, and I have a feeling this will be a movie, but not in the best way. It's a sad story, but I'm glad that you did all this, and now you have some important questions answered. And then maybe someone who should have been a little bit more responsible will have to, make good, if that's even possible. So, but
right.
Janine, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. Attorney Errante, thank you.
I can't say it's my pleasure, but it's it's a
amazingly
sad story.
strong woman, and good for you for spearheading this to get it right.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.